we're now moving on to an armchair conversation with Eddie Sturman and Chip Cummings, Actuated Values and the Future of Liquid Fuel. Now, Eddie is a regular at this conference. He's been here numerous times, and he has a great deal of information to share with us. Some of his inventions helped propel us into space. So we'll let Chip and Eddie take off with this here in just a couple of moments.
Well, thanks, Rutherford. That was amazing. I can't believe you did that in 15 minutes. That is a lot of information, and I'm so grateful what you folks are doing. You Turners are doing down there in Atlanta, and leading us in a smart way forward in terms of finance and implementation of clean technology. That's across the entire spectrum. And I also want to acknowledge Ted, because he's not here with us this year, usually he is, and you know, his leadership in this country has just been tremendous. Okay, well, Eddie Sturman, my old friend Eddie's back. Thanks for coming. I want to let you know that Eddie is an innovator of unparalleled degree. His digital valve technology got us back from the moon in the 60s. He's in the Hall of Fame for what is the organization?
NASA.
Oh yeah, that one. NASA Hall of Fame, and he also has a actuated valve technology that really is changing transportation and eliminating the need for a camshaft to be able to burn fuels efficiently at millionths of a second, I believe is the calculations, that we can then transform our entire transportation system. And so since you were here last, Eddie, I know you wanted to come back and give the AREDAY Summit attendees an update on what's happening within your world of valve technology and even moving into the production of NH3 as a potential non-carbon energy source.
Okay. Well, first, thank you, Chief. Really appreciate it. I've got some slides. Thank you. Wow. Can you hear me okay? Yes. So first, how many of you have been here last time to hear my talk? How many people have been in our place in Woodland Park? Thank you. Not too many.
You all have to go. It's unbelievable.
Okay. I appreciate being here again. Our life has changed a lot because we're getting into producing what I've been talking about in the past. It's interesting that we held a panel with somebody, with a speaker from India. We're working with India, and we're moving very, very fast into production with what I believe is a practical solution. Okay, I'll see if this works. I started in the space program. I was lucky to be at the right place at the right time, and I invented the valve that we call digital valve, and it's transformational. The mechanical world has not changed in 120 years. They're still controlling things in an analog way instead of understanding what electronics has done with what all of us have now, which is digital. That's what made electronics so powerful. And that's what caused the great growth of electronics, exponential. I'm doing it in the mechanical world. I've got only 15 minutes, so I'm going to be very fast. But you'll be able to ask me questions later on. So what we're doing is converting the mechanical world, bringing the mechanical world into the digital age, doing the same basic concept of what made electronics so powerful, which is not wasting energy. That makes everything very, very small and very fast. So you can look at the slides, and I'll try to be fast because I say I've got only 10 minutes to do what should take about 2 or 3 hours. So, but what we do, we believe that the best answers come from nature, and we can use nature to solve all our problems. Nature is the most efficient system. So I already was able to use the digital technology in the space program. But the first application that I took it to was irrigation, making very efficient irrigation system. I did it for Israel, and now it's all over the world. And we use it for a lot of applications. But the one I'm going to talk about now is engines. Most people assume that the internal combustion engine reached its peak, and they compare the internal combustion engine of the future to what we have now. But we have totally revolutionized it to be clean and efficient and to be able to take any fuel, from fossil fuels all the way to fuels that have no carbon at all or that are carbon neutral. So I'll talk quickly about that. So in the picture, I'm showing a typical mechanical engine, but on the right-hand side is what we do to it. And what we do, we take the mechanical controls, and I'll show you a camshaft, which is what controls the timing. If you drove internal combustion car today, it was controlled mechanically. So I brought one. That's what mechanical camshaft looks like. That's what controls the timing. Problem is, it's fixed. It will always do the same thing, regardless of what you do. It's been that way for 120 years. So we take it out, we remove it, and we replace it with digital valves that operate so fast, in millions of a second, so we can control the combustion. And by controlling the combustion, the engine becomes very smart, very efficient, very clean, and very low cost. So the comparisons to electric cars, and there is big hype over it. I personally don't think it'll be able to compete with a smart mechanical system that the controls are replaced with digital controls. Okay, that's what it looks like. It's very simple. We're taking many, many parts. So on this graph, what we're showing that we can take any fuel, any biofuel, and make it match the conventional fossil fuel. We do it because the engine is smart in being able to adapt itself for any fuel under any conditions. Now, talking about storage, the best way to store energy is nature. All the plants store energy. So if we grow anything, hemp, it has 50 times more energy storage capacity than any battery. That's very quick description of what we do. Conventional engines do everything wrong. They ignite at the worst possible place, and there is an explosion that takes place. What we do, because our valves are so fast, we can control it, we can bring the combustion into the best place. So now in the same engine, you can get 4 or 5 times more torque and power. So it becomes very, very small. It is revolutionizing the internal combustion engine. We take a lot of the parts out, including the camshaft. So the picture you saw yesterday with all the parts of internal combustion engine doesn't have to be that way. It's not. Now, what's different this time than last time that I talked is we're doing it, we're getting into full production with a very large company from India, one of the biggest in the world, and with probably the richest man on the planet that believes in what we do, and we're doing it very, very, very fast. We're just changing the controls of the internal combustion engine. We keep everything else the same. So it's a simple, very low-cost transition from where we are today to very clean and efficient. Now, there's some misconception about the electric car of the future. And in these pictures, we show what you're really plugging into when you're plugging into the wall or into a source of electricity. The real electricity right now in Colorado Springs is coming from coal, from a coal mine, through a train. There are 3 trains coming every day to a big station that burns the coal to produce electricity that gets transmitted to the plug that you're plugging into. So thinking that you're doing a great thing to the world by going to electric, you got to think about it. The way to use wind and solar, and I have a patent on it. I've got several patents, but converting it into a liquid fuel. One of the liquid fuels is NH3. It doesn't have carbon at all. But then, once you have the fuel, you can transmit the fuel, the liquid fuel, to the place that you want to burn it. So you don't have the issues of the transmission of electricity. Transmission of electricity has a lot of issues. For example, in this case, it shows transmission line going and they're on top of a house. There is correlation between electricity, transmission of electricity, and cancer. People don't want to think about it, don't want to hear about it, but I can reference you to books that have a lot of data and are very scientific. So we have to be careful of the hype that exists now that let's electrify everything. We have to be very careful. Don't believe everything you hear. Question everything, including me. So that's the thing. I question everything. I don't go for hypes. We have to be careful. So that's how we can have the distribution system that is truly local without electrical transmission. So what it's all about, we're doing it right now. It's not an idea for 10, 20 years from now. It's right now. It's going to be on the market in the next 2 or 3 years. And solution makes sense. It's simple, it's efficient, it is needed, it is safe, and above all, the bottom line is it's economical. Everything has to compete with everything else. So that's using solar in a clean way and very economical way. So my time is over. I wish I had more time, but I invite you to talk to me and get more information. So thank you very much.